All right, we're official. Anybody can count bodies and let me know when we get a quorum. We'll get started.
Is it 9 or 10 people? Because we have 9.
I don't know. Let me count here in a list. Looks like there's 18, so I think we need 10.
Yeah.
But that one has Chris Elder on it.
Yeah, but I subtracted him.
Oh, okay.
And you can see whether or not there's somebody that is like entered as a guest, like not as a panelist. You can see that pretty easily.
Well, pretty easily might be an exaggeration, but yes, let's see. There's a couple more attendees. Let's see. Oh, here's Jen. Let's get her in as a panelist. There. That may have done it. I think we have a quorum. Let me go find the agenda again. I can't really see what I'm showing on the screen. Oh, there's a way to do that. So let me know if my screen is too big, too small, off center, or whatever.
We can see the agenda.
Great.
Size looks good to me.
All right, we might as well get going because I think we got a lot to cover. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome this evening. I think we need to make sure we have a quorum. I don't think we need to take roll, do we, Kirsten? You can just capture the names off the screens.
Yes, I can.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4.
we have 10 now.
Okay. So we have a quorum. We want to review the agenda real quickly. I think everybody has seen it. I don't know if anybody has any concerns or wants to change or add something. Depending how the item number 3 goes, we may either have lots of time or run out of time. So I wouldn't want to add too much. Anybody have anything? I don't see any hands up. If people can use their hands or just speak up, that would be great because I'm having a little hard time seeing who all's in the room.
Are you looking for a motion?
I don't think we need a motion to approve the agenda. Next thing is we need to approve the meeting summaries from July 15th and August 11th. We could probably do those separately. So I do need a motion to approve July 15th summary.
So moved.
All right. Is there a second? And then we can discuss if there's any changes.
I will second. Brandy Reed.
Okay. Jim moved, Brandy seconded. Any discussion or proposed edits?
So I have some edits to the July and August, but we're just talking about July right now, correct?
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
do July.
Okay, I'm just trying to get to, it's on, just bear with me here. I'm trying to scroll to.
I'll try to get there myself.
Let's see, they're not, I don't think the pages are numbered. It's under, I think it's page, it's the page that begins with the header, the lead path forward for plan, goals, objectives, and actions. It,
Right here. Okay.
That was
think
page
it-
6.
thank you. So the paragraph that begins Jennifer asked existing subcommittees, the sentence that begins Brandy suggested that the group needs, I have a recommended edit to that. It's not, in my opinion, accurate with regards to what I said. So I think what I'll do here is I'll just post to the chat what my recommended replacement sentence is for that whole sentence, beginning with Brandy suggested and ending with Brandy further commented, like that whole, all of that gone and replaced with what I just put in the chat, which is Brandy suggested subcommittee members may want to cross-reference their original goal, objective, action statements to ensure no nuances were lost in the consolidation work.
Works for me. Anybody have a concern with that? All right.
And then, excuse me, I think there's one more that I'm not seeing it. I think that's it for this one.
Okay. So anybody else have any proposed changes? We had a motion in a second. I'm assuming will the person that made that motion accept this change?
Yes,
All right, friendly amendment. So we have a motion and a second to approve these minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, those pass. On to the next set of minutes, which is the August minutes. Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
Oliver will second.
All right. Brandy moved, Oliver seconded. Any discussion or proposed changes?
Brandy has an edit
Okay,
on, I'm sorry, I don't know which page it is, path forward for addressing FAQ comments. It's, I can't tell how many pages in, it looks like it's page 13 maybe of the PDF. The sentence, this paragraph that begins Steve added, and then the sentence that follows that, which is Brandy added, that the task force had no direct line. I would like to strike that sentence. I don't remember what I said, but I'm pretty sure I didn't mean to communicate what's said there in that sentence.
I'm not finding it, but that sounds okay to me.
One more
Yes,
page down, Carl. There you go.
Okay,
Brandy added is this paragraph that begins Steve added, and then there's a sentence at the end, Brandy
so
added.
get rid of that sentence.
Mhm.
Okay, anybody have a problem with that? All right, any other additions or comments? All right, we've got a motion. Will the person, I guess Brandy made the motion, so I'm assuming you accept, take a friendly amendment for your own change?
That's okay that I made the motion and I'm amending it. Yes.
That's fine. All right, and the second still stands, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Any
Aye.
abstentions? All right. That
Tracy
passes.
abstains just because I wasn't there, so.
Okay, one abstention, Tracy. So that passes back up to the top where we can see what we're supposed to talk about. Updates and announcements. I don't know. I've just got a couple of updates. I'm assuming everybody realizes that I'm running the meeting tonight because Chris Elder has jumped ship from Whatcom County and has went to work for King County as part of their farm program. So he left me holding the bag on this the last couple of meetings. That was the one announcement. The other one is the Lake Whatcom Forest Management Plan is still, it's supposed to be released for comment here fairly soon, so you might keep an eye out for that. It's almost like the implementation of some of our recommendations of looking at specific forests and coming up with a plan. And there's quite a bit on the, if you look at the Bellingham Engage website, you can find lots of information and some videos of that forest plan too. Anybody else have any updates or announcements? Okay, we're gonna move along to the public comment period. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes. If you want to make longer comments, you can do them in writing to that address that's showing there on the screen. I don't know, does anybody want to make public comments? I don't know if do you have anybody in the room with you, Kirsten?
No members of the public.
I'm here.
Tim's here.
I came here to have the last meeting with you all, and you all stayed home.
I thought Kaya was here, but I can't see if her hand is up. Let me see if I can.
It is not up.
Okay. Let's see, there's a couple other attendees too. I don't see any of the attendees having a hand up, so I think we're good to move along. So the main effort tonight, was there anybody that wanted to make public comment? Just speak up if you have the ability to. All right, we'll move along. Our main effort tonight is kind of review the final technical task force comments. A little explanation about what's going on, because there's been a little bit of confusion, some of it caused by me, which is not abnormal at all. There's some things that has become apparent to me. When we started getting comments, I inquired at the council office and with a couple of council members about the idea of getting an extension, because it seemed like we had a lot of comments and a lot of work to do, and maybe if we just had a couple more weeks, we could button it up more like some of us would like to. And I've been told that an extension is not going to be granted. We are done. I've also was told late yesterday afternoon by the Triangle folks that we should really plan on September 15th being our last meeting. There was some inquiries about, well, if we get bogged down too much tonight, can we maybe shove that off for a week and do it on the 22nd? And they highly recommend that we shoot for the 15th to be done, so they have time to make everything look pretty and deliver it to the council. So that's kind of what I know. I think our primary mission tonight is to come up with a process to review a variety of comments. And the highest priority is reviewing the comments of task force members. There's some other comments. I think Brandy has some from DNR. I'd like to get to those tonight if we have a chance. But I did also hear from Triangle yesterday that they really highly recommend that we don't spend a lot of time on the staff comments, which I think I shared with everybody on Friday. If we have time and there's people really see some of those that they think are important that they want to get included, we can try to do that. But as Triangle explained, the staff comments were started quite a long time ago. They were on an older version of the plan, so it was a little bit hard to look at what they were commenting on versus what we were commenting on. And some of the comments from the staff have already been addressed in some of the review committee's work since then. So they really would like us not to spend a lot of time on those staff comments. Their recommendation is to get through the task force comments first, other comments after that. In like the staff comments, if we can't get through those, they recommend that we just bundle those up with the report at the end, send them on to council with an explanation that, due to a quick timeline and lack of support, we couldn't do everything we needed to do. So we are giving them to council along with maybe some recommendations on how they handle those. So that was the recommendation from Triangle, and it looks like Steve has a thought on that.
Yeah, because with the review committee, we have gone over all those staff comments, and many of them are already addressed. And both Brandy and I have replied to some of them, which will be fairly easy to address, but we haven't, finalized what we want to do. There's one section of about 12 bullet points of next steps that they added. And I think that's not something that ought to be just dangled. Is something that we ought to deal with. Just it comes somewhere at the end of the plan draft, and I think the review committee can probably spend some time in the next. We're hoping to wrap this up on Monday, the 8th, and that we can spend some time going over those. The others are mostly,
Uh-uh.
editorial and classificatory and so on. Somebody says,
On the tablet, it's weird.
Are people having trouble hearing Steve, or is somebody just disagreeing with that?
Raise my hand. Oh, can I raise my hand?
Okay. Jim's on hold with a hand up. Go ahead, Steve.
That's all.
Okay. And I think that's a good segue, that because I was going to get into a proposed process, and you've already kind of jumped the gun on that, Steve. So perfect. But Jim, did you have a comment on that first? We lost Jim. Okay.
Carl? I
Ellen,
can't-
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not finding the reactions here and the hand raising on this setup here, but anyway, is there a master copy? Because I keep seeing the same errors that were pointed out months ago, and I haven't seen a recent clean copy that maybe the review committee has been working on, or I'm really kind of puzzled by looking
I
at
know.
these old copies.
I think Kate has sent out the most recent version to us a couple of times. That's all I've got to work on too. And I did note that there was still some commenting kind of in the background in that, and some things that hadn't been addressed that I think we had talked about.
Yeah, some actual errors that, I mean, Dave Peterson and I talked about in a chat once, and he said, yeah, that's definitely an error. So, but they've never been corrected. And
Well,
there's still,
once again, the review committee has a copy in a Google Drive. We have been replying to comments from the FAC and comments from the county staff, and some other comments from task force members, but not all of them. Ellen, not your two most recent sets of comments. And we haven't taken anything off. We haven't made a clean copy. But I think the first task that we have is to make a clean copy, and everything that's resolved, we'll take that out. And that will only leave comments that have to be addressed. And if you want to see a copy of that, I guess we can add you. I have to make sure that we don't run into quorum problems. But I think there's room for one or two more people without making it a quorum.
okay.
But before we get too much more into comments on individual things, let me just kind of pose a process question and just see if people nod their heads or want to move this direction. When I spoke with Triangle late yesterday afternoon, their suggestion was that we go through the copy Kate sent out that people were supposed to be commenting on. And, I was assuming that we were going to get copies of people's comments yesterday, if not before, so we could see what people were talking about. They didn't do that. They were telling people to bring their comments to this meeting, share your screen, and we're going to go through line by line, approving all the comments. I know that Brandy has comments. I have comments. I think Steve has comments. Ellen has comments. Other people may have comments. And I suspect if we start trying to go line by line, comment by comment, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
So my
Definitely.
proposed process would be that we authorize the review committee, which Steve already started talking about. Steve and I were in cahoots over the weekend talking about a process forward. And the thought was to check in with the review committee, make sure they're available to do this, and that we punt most of the comments to the review committee to dispose of one way or another, accept or reject or tweak a little bit. And it sounds like the review committee, and I'll let Steve chime in here, is available. And I think he just said that they can have that done by Monday.
Yeah, we're on a short timeline because Tom is leaving town on Friday. I'm leaving town on Tuesday. As far as, and I think Brandy is around the whole time. Brandy's been the workhorse. Jen has some time, I think, ending on Monday also. So that's a majority of the review committee. And Oliver wrote me this afternoon. And Oliver, I'll let you tell the task force what you said this afternoon.
Yeah, basically, I've been greatly held back in providing substantial input on this because all of the events occur right when I have family events or other activities that were planned in advance. So, for instance, if we're going to try to finish this by Monday the 8th, I'm scheduled to leave this evening on a backpack trip coming back on the 11th. And so that's the issue I've been dealing with all along. And so I probably, unless my plans change or I cancel my trip, I probably won't be able to give much feedback in this last round for the Monday wrap up.
But you also said that you were going to do a quick run through and make sure there was nothing, major that you wanted the review committee to take into account, right?
Yes, and I did as much as I could this afternoon, and I have found some things that I'm concerned about. But right now isn't the time, unless you want to hear me.
Right.
No,
Nope, not
I
right
think
now.
the things you do, you make them available to the review committee.
So before we go to Jen, my proposed process would be that we take most of the comments, because I have some comments that are just wording things not earth-shattering, and punt those to the review committee, let them do their magic. But this evening, in the 45 minutes we have to review comments, we raise comments that people think are major comments. Like I already heard Brandy talk about, or maybe it was Steve that was talking about, next steps. And that was one of my comments too. It seems like the report just kind of ends in mid-sentence and there needs to be some next steps at the end. So big overarching things that we can kind of come to some conclusion about this evening and punt those to the review committee too to tweak and put into the report. So it's kind of a two-part thing. Leave the easy ones alone and let the review committee deal with them. Big overarching things we'll try to discuss this evening. And then the review committee can get their work done by Monday or Tuesday, get that off to Triangle, and hopefully Triangle will give us the final report 2 or 3 days before the 15th, so maybe by the 12th, so we can vote on it on the 15th. Jen.
Thanks. Compliment on those because I think that sounds good. Can we identify a singular person to send edits toward? Like, even if we already have our last edits, I'm just thinking for Oliver, who may have already submitted edits to Triangle previously, to make sure that those get incorporated through the review committee process. I mean, similar for me as Ellen, there are edits that I see are still not incorporated in here that I've submitted multiple times to Triangle, and I'm running under the impression we no longer just have Triangle as a support entity for the next couple of weeks and should not be sending anything their way. Does that sound right, Carl?
I'm a little unclear on that, but I would think it would make sense maybe to send them to Triangle and to one of the people on the review committee. Because it's the review committee that I think in the next few days is really going to be trying to put this together, not Triangle. And
yeah, and
I'm unclear whether we're going to get the comments that people have submitted to Triangle directly from them. So it'd be good to send those on to somebody on the review committee also.
Yeah, and just for clarification for everybody, can you just confirm and clarify who is on the review committee?
As far, it's been a little amoebic, but as far as I know, statutorily, Brandy Reed, Jen Mackey, Oliver Graw, Tom Smith, Noah, Frank Bob, and me. But Noah has not participated, and Frank has been invited and has participated somewhat, but is not concerned to participate anymore. And so this makes Jen, and Oliver has clarified that he's leaving tomorrow and won't be able to participate. So that leaves Jen, Brandy, Tom, and me to be the active review committee for the next few days.
And is there one of you four that makes the most sense for people to send their comments to?
Either me or Brandy.
Okay. Somebody want to volunteer to be the lead?
I might as well do it because I set up the I set up the Google Drive and so forth.
Okay.
The only thing is I'm leaving Tuesday morning early, so if we're not done on Monday, if there's some things to wrap up on Tuesday, then other people are gonna have to do it.
All right, so send your comments, even if you've already sent them to Triangle, send them to Steve too, to make sure that the review committee gets them.
And what I'll do is I'll compile a list of comment sets. In other words, here are the comments that we need to decide how to deal with. We have comments from FAC, we have comments from staff, we have comments from Ellen, we have comments from Oliver, et cetera. And then once we have that list, then we'll be able to sort of, figure out how to deal with the specific comments within that list.
Great. One
Thanks,
more.
Carl and Steve.
All right. One more question I have before we go to Brandy is, since you've lost a couple of people on the review committee, if someone is really just itching and dying to help with the review, can you add 1 or 2 new people?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
We do schedule a tentative meeting for Monday evening at 7 to 8 o'clock, but we're hoping to have most of the reaction to the comments done by individual review committee members before that. And so we may not even need to have that meeting, but if we do have that meeting, it will be basically a kind of a ritual approval of what individual review committee members have done.
I want to go to Kirsten first, just because I suspect she's got a process comment for us.
She's muted.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. You're kind of
Sorry.
reverberating though.
Hold on one sec.
Yeah, you got it muted. But you're still hearing.
Sorry. I don't have a process. So please do whatever you like.
That was me. I read
All right.
Oh,
Oh, so that's Jim's
Jim
hand
is
up.
using my computer because his,
Yeah, I got all kinds of weird stuff on my tablet. This may not be timely, but I reviewed those process questions from staff that were down at the end. I think we should just not even look at those. But we've everything as if we're 6 months ago. So I think I'm totally in support of the process you all are discussing. Let's look at let's let this Sterling committee look at the new timely comments and go on for there. And thank you for your forbearance.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Okay, Brandy.
So I just wanted to clarify that what I understand from emails and a conversation with Triangle last Friday is that copy edits will still be addressed by Triangle. And, the final collated version of the plan will be prepared by them. So they are still on point to work with us. It's just that they're asking for us to do our work in a really sort of precise and efficient way so that they can be efficient with what little time they have left to put towards this project. So we don't need to focus on copy edits because they're in control of that. They have the style guide that they're going to be using, et cetera. And they really just want us to focus on the substantive stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying anything that hasn't already been said. I just want to reiterate that those copy edits will get addressed. That's the promise, is that they will be taking those, like, hey, a period's missing here, or change this word here, or there's a spelling error here. That's all going to get addressed by them. Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Yep, that's my understanding too, and that's why they were really hoping we'll vote on this on the 15th, which will give them time to put in the pretty pictures and do all that copy editing and formatting. But they want us and now the review committee to really focus on the substantive comments coming in, particularly from the task force, but staff comments, DNR comments too, if the review committee has time to do that. All right, anybody else? It looks like Kirsten still has a hand up, but I think that's a holdover from Jim, just to confuse us. Anybody else? Any comments on the process? Do we need to all nod our heads that the process makes sense, or do we need a motion that that's going to be our process, or are we comfortable just moving forward? No one seems to be jumping out of their seats, so we'll figure that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, one thing I would just clarify is that I think what you said, Carl, this email this afternoon is that this task force, before it adjourns this meeting, will empower the review committee to deal with certain sets of comments. And then the review committee, I hope, will be able to stay 10 minutes after the task force meeting adjourns, just to divide the labor, to decide, who's going to do what by what time. So the details of the process, what Brandy's going to do, what Jen's going to do, what I'm going to do, those will be decided by the review committee. But it will be within a parameter set by the task force that we're going to deal with certain sets of comments and get them back to Triangle and to by Monday or Tuesday, hopefully Monday.
Yep, that's right. And just last question before we actually try to move on to some actual comments is, was there anybody else that wanted to join the review committee? That's kind of what I thought, but I thought we would ask anyway.
Is Noah, are you on the review committee? Oh, Noah's not here. Okay, never mind.
No, I think, we can't offer a free beer or anything like that, so
Why don't you send me whatever the plan is for the review committee, and I'll stay on afterwards. The review committee's planning to stay on the Zoom call for 10 minutes at the end of the meeting after this meeting adjourns, just to try to divide up the work. So I may join you, although I'm really swamped with other things right now. Ellen.
we'll hold it to 10 minutes, Carl.
All right.
I would like to participate. I just don't know if I can make it right now because there's a lot going on with my mother-in-law, but possibly going into hospice. So I'll try to make that 7 o'clock meeting. When is it? Monday?
Monday, yeah.
And where is it? It's Zoom meeting?
On my platform whereby
Oh, okay.
that we've used. Yeah.
Well, just send me the information. I'll try to help out.
So just a question. Do you have any time before the meeting? In other words,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I have time off and on, just, maybe we can talk offline, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have comments on the process? All right. So the plan was to discuss this evening big overarching things that people ran into when they were looking at the plan. And it looks like Oliver's ready to jump right into that.
Yeah, again, I appreciate everything, all the things that people have done during the time that I haven't been able to focus on this. A lot of work's been accomplished. One of the things I did come across in a very cursory, quick review this afternoon is that I sent Triangle a list of references that support what the resilience plan says about the effect of climate change on forests and the effect of forestry on stream flow. I sent that list out on June 9th, broken out into two sections. There are 15 references specific to the Nooksack River watershed or Whatcom County, and the nearest other scientific research that's been conducted on the effect of forestry on stream flow and climate. And most of those 15 references didn't make it into the report. And the problem is I need to go through the report with a fine-tooth comb and figure out, where those references should be presented in the report. I'm not suggesting that the report gets rewritten. It's just that it needs to be in the record that those references provide, foundational science and research, results of research specific to Whatcom County. And so my question is, should I just go back and reference my email to Triangle on June 9th? I think I copied Steve and probably Randy on that. Or is it a kind of an issue that we can't go back to or we can't process at this point in time? That's my question.
I'm not sure I have a clear answer. It sounds like if you still have those things ready, send them to the review committee and they can make sure they get added back in or get
Okay.
added in.
Yeah,
Does
and
that-
that will be, for example, that's one item on a list of comment sets that the review committee will address. Unless, yeah,
Yeah, and again, the thing is, it's not just presenting information on, how, in quote, bad forestry is on stream flow. It's foundational science that explains why the community should be concerned about the ecosystem service provided by a resilient forest in the face of climate change. That's why those references need to be in there, because it's foundational science. And it's foundational science in Whatcom County.
So send them to the review committee and they should add them back in unless they have some questions for you, Oliver.
Okay, will do.
Did you have a response to that, Brandy, or another overarching?
No, I just want to make sure that we know where to put the references, Oliver. I think if we have to figure out where to add the citation, it's going to be hard for us to make that, go that distance on your behalf.
Yeah, I understand that, and I will do my best to figure out how to get that to you.
And I think that, yeah, great. That sounds great.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, I probably should have done more to work with Triangle on massaging the text, but as of June, we didn't have a whole lot to review. And at that point in time, it seemed like the contractor was going to be the primary author on the report. And so I think that's where perhaps I became a little bit confused, as I should have championed those references more aggressively, put it that way.
All right. Thanks, Oliver. I was going to jump right into one of my comments because I think it's an overarching comment that we've heard from a number of people already, and that's that in the staff comments, there was at the end some next steps, which I think Steve liked and Jim thought we should dump. When I was reading the whole thing, what really struck me was that I don't think the report is done yet, and I've heard that from other people too. So somewhere I think we need to, and it could be in a cover letter that it's attached to the report when it goes to council, or it could be built in right at the very end as next steps. We need to come out and say that right out loud. And what I would like to say is that, it's not done yet because of the broad nature of the marching orders the council gave us and the tight timeline that went along with that and the general lack of support to meet that tight timeline. So we did not have the ability to prioritize our action items, and we didn't have the ability to seek all the comments from outside stakeholders that the council asked us to. We did it early on, but once the report kind of started coming into final form, we reached out to the Forest Advisory Committee, and then the staff commented, but the Parks Commission, the Climate Action Committee, the Wildlife Committee, which are represented here, never has seen the report. So I think they should get a chance to comment, and I think the public should get a 30-day comment period too. And I think we should just say that as next steps at the end, that because of the timeline and the lack of support, we didn't get to that, but we recommend that the county council open it up for a review, and then that they form an implementation committee, probably made up of mostly county staff, but maybe a couple of Forest Advisory Committee members and a couple of members from this committee to review those comments, work them into the final plan, and then come up with a very short-term prioritized implementation plan and a proposed short-term implementation budget. Because this plan is full of all kinds of things that will just cost the county money, and they don't have two nickels to rub together right now. So it's the perfect setup to become shelf art as far as I can tell. So I would really like to kind of give the council some kind of recommendation from us about how to actually use this report and move it forward. So that was one of the things that was recommended in my comments, and I've heard it from other people too about what do we tell the council when we send this to them? Is this finished and perfect, or is there more work to be done? So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. And it looks like Jim had his hand up first.
Well, in general, I don't have a problem with the concept that it could be improved in some ways and that implementation would need to be strategized. But I feel like we've had adequate consultation with the parties referenced. Like, we have a council rep on this committee, we have a tribal rep on the committee. So I think we've been diligent in terms of outreach. And so I guess I don't want to cast aspersions on our efforts in that regard, but again, if there's a way that this could be improved for better implementation, that's great. But I never had a dream that we would expect council to suddenly pull money out of a bag and start spending on these priorities. I guess I consider it more of a vision rather than a strategic plan.
Right, Brandy.
Yeah, I in general agree as well. I actually had some edits that I added to the plan related to this. So so without going into the details of all the places where I added a caveat that spoke to the limited time frame, the limitations of the timeline, et cetera, that, you know, the plan has, you know, there's opportunity to engage more community members. There's opportunity for additional content, whatever. Like that, I have a couple of places where I've added some notes related to that as well. And I do think that there is something that can be added to the end. We can pivot off of what staff put together. I don't agree with wholesale integration with what staff put together, but I think that there's some good stuff to work with there with regards to this sort of, you know, bookend to the plan.
Great, thanks. And certainly I'm just using mine as an example because I had it on my screen here, and I've heard other people talk about the same thing. So certainly my idea doesn't need to be it, but if we can come to agreement that we want something like this, we can let the review committee take a crack at it. Steve.
Yes, in the staff comments, the new staff comments that are new with the version that the Triangle sent us last week, they also have a bulleted list of potential next steps, which are not exactly the same as yours, Carl. You got 4. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And some of them overlap and some of them don't. It seems to me that one of the review committee's jobs that actually one member of the review committee can do is to consolidate those two lists. Because I don't know about screen sharing here, if you want me to share, or if I just some of the same things. For example, complete interdepartmental review and committee review and determine the executive's office recommendation. That's something that's not on your list, but clearly executive's office has got to, you know, do something, you know. Update forest resilience plan following the policy direction from county council. You know, that's something that's far off. Complete a review of available funding and budgetary resources, which obviously is very important for the county staff to do, because if they don't have any money, they can't implement anything. They're not getting cheap labor like members of this committee are giving them. And so if we coordinate with the Parks Recreation and Open Space Plan, the prop plan, or whatever that frost plan, and so forth and so on. So if we're talking about next steps, we may want to include some of those as well as the ones. Yours are a little bit more preliminary to theirs, Carl, right? Because a lot of those things, what they're listing are things that will happen after the report is published and distributed. Okay, they don't, what are they gonna do about it? Okay, we've spent a year and a half, we've done this thing. What's happening to it? Well, it's up to the county. And whether that's the executive's office or whether it's the various staff departments, whether it's the council, you know, but we ought to consolidate that. And I think Tom wants to add to that.
Yeah, and I'm glad, to mix these together. I was just looking for some kind of early implementation thing so we can see if the council is just going to turn this into shelf art right off the bat, or if there's some early implementation things that people can watch to see if something's moving. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, maybe so you can help me remember, does it specifically require this committee to look into next steps as far as what Triangle is contracted to do? Or our charter marching orders from the county council? Did that actually include next steps, or is this something that we feel is good to do, but it's not necessarily part of the contract or our original marching orders?
Yeah, I don't think I can answer that question. If anybody else wants to take a crack at it, they can. When I think about a plan, the plan that we have in front of us is has much breadth and it's very wide. It doesn't have much depth at all. So when I'm talking about early implementation, that's giving maybe some of those action items a little more depth. But that's just my view.
Okay, I see that this something that might take another month or so of meetings to try to go through all the recommendations and the action items and start going through, okay, let's start prioritizing them. And I just see that being a lot more work than what we have time allowed for.
Yeah, no, and I'm not suggesting that we do that. I think we punt this all to the council, but we say that out loud that there's more work to be done and let them form some smaller committee to do
Okay.
some of that work as they collect perhaps more comments from groups that haven't been asked yet. Like Jim said that we have representation, but I'm the representative from the Parks Commission, and the Parks Commission has not had one discussion about this plan in the year we've been working on it because there hasn't been anything for the Parks Commission to discuss until recently.
And the planning commission hasn't seen it either. Right?
As far as I know, yeah. Looks like Jim again.
Yeah, I guess I didn't share it with the planning commission, but I've been making regular reports to the planning commission, and they have not shown great interest in getting involved.
And that may be true for the Parks Commission too. All right, so is there a general sense of the group that we want the review committee to try to merge together different comments that relate to next steps? And I guess one of the next steps that I'm the most interested in is seeking more review by the affected committees and the public. I don't know where people are at with opening it up. It would be the council's problem to figure out how to do that.
I feel like it's great to recommend that, and I think that that shouldn't mean that work can't continue on implementing elements of what's recommended in the plan if progress can be made before all that happens. So I think we just need to say it in a way that says that like this, we have our goals, objectives, and actions are for all intents and purposes next steps that we've identified. And what we're really talking about is next steps about how to go about implementing all of those goals, objectives, and actions. And in the meantime, as opportunities come available to implement goals, objectives, and actions, specific ones, that those opportunities should be seized upon and shouldn't wait for other things to be finished before taking advantage of those early action opportunities. I would ask that it be written in that way.
I completely agree with that. Any comments on this? Does the review committee think they heard enough that they can try to tweak this?
Yeah, I'm making a list of general tasks for the review committee. I got 3 here. Deal with Oliver's references on stream flow and other ecological issues. Deal with Carl's call for next steps and deal with the staff call for next steps and you know, make these two into a coherent, but brief, list of next steps at the end of the plan.
Sounds good to me. Ellen?
When we talk about implementing these goals and objectives and actions, who is going to implement them? Who's in charge of this?
I think it depends on the goal and the action. I mean, one of the actions was, does the county even have a staff person that deals with forest issues? And I think somewhere in the plan, there was a recommendation that Public Works make sure they have such a person.
Yeah, we recommended hiring one in one of the, buried in one of those. But
Right.
I mean, Brandy was just talking about going forward on the goals and objectives, but I guess I doubt, knowing the county, that anybody's going to do anything.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think that there are entities out there that are able to move forward on some of these goals and objectives and actions, and I don't think that they should be shy about doing that if they're in a position to do it. I don't think it should, those things that can be implemented should be implemented, even if the county is still going to go through some other engagement process beyond what we've done.
What entities are you talking about? I'm just curious. I don't know.
Well,
the
for
county as well
example,
as you do.
goal 3, which talks about forest stewardship on public and private and commercial lands, there's entities like the district, like WSU Cooperative Extension, et cetera, that are actually doing this work. And so I think that the whole point about this plan is that it's not just what the county will do, it's what everyone can come to the table and make the lift together. So I just don't want for the next steps that we articulate to limit people moving forward tomorrow if there are people and entities that are ready to move forward tomorrow. Like, that's all I'm trying to say, is that just say next steps in a way that doesn't preclude forward movement when opportunities arise, even if there are some things that the county is going to still do before the county does.
Right.
Well, if
And
they're
I know
already
that
doing it, that's
And I know that Public Works and the Parks Department have already coordinated on forestry issues and have moved forward on the Lake Whatcom Forest Management Plan. And I think the Parks Department is getting ready to hire a forest manager to kind of implement that plan. So there is stuff happening, some of that ties in with our recommendations. They got a jump start even before they saw the report.
yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to know.
And I'll also clarify one thing. And no list of next steps is going to say implement action, goal 3, strategy 2, action 1, anything like that, right? It's going to say, okay, what's the procedure for deciding, what to do in a concrete sense. But we've already recommended what we recommend in the goals, strategies, and it's not strategies, goals, objectives, and actions, and that stands. The next steps is how to move from recommending to implementing, but not repeating what we already say in a goals, objectives, and actions.
All right, one comment down, 275 left to go. Who's got another big overarching thing that they think we should discuss as a group before the review committee gets hold of things? Brandy.
Well, I think that the work that the plan review committee did on the existing resources section and the collaboration framework is new since the last task force meeting. And so I think it's important to make sure that people are comfortable with the changes that are being presented in the new version of the document, because those are some pretty significant overhauls to those sections that were mapped out by the plan review committee. I don't know if that falls into the category of overarching for you, but I think it's pretty substantive change to the version that everybody worked on before the last meeting.
Is that the part of the plan that lists all the different departments and agencies and different groups that work on forestry?
Yes.
I did make some comments on that, and I think that is a big thing because there was a lot of kind of duplicative stuff in there, and I saw quite a few comments coming in on how that section needed to get cleaned up. So I think the review committee is going to see some of that people like the list, but the lists were kind of duplicative in a lot of places.
Yeah, the problem there is that originally the outline for the plan included that section being inclusive of more entities than just the county government. And somehow over the course of the writing, it got focused just on county government, and the collaboration framework got focused just on what the county is going to do. And I think that that in the edit that the plan review committee did, it was a big lift to say, hey, this needs to go back to what we originally thought needed to happen here, which is that we need to map out all the existing resources that are at play in Whatcom County, be they public, private, or commercial or whatever. And that also the collaboration framework, there's some very specific, kind of changes there. But I think the point is that in that change, there was, or the original content was written in a way where if you read it, where it's talking about a program versus a department, there might be the same, the department is listed under the departments, and then the department is listed again under the programs because they're talking about something specifically program specific. So I think that if that redundancy is bothering people, the fact that it's talked about in two places, then something has to be done with the way that the county's content was drafted by the county, because that's not plan review committee work. That's work that was done by somebody else before the plan review committee got a hold of the last version of the plan. And so if you read it, it's actually not redundant. It's just that it could be more efficient, use space better, right? And be a little bit more elegant than it is, in my opinion. But the big point is that there are other entities there now that are described that were not there before. And so I just want to make sure that people understand that that's a pretty big change. And I think we need to come out of this meeting knowing that that change is a change that everybody is behind. And I just want to add, related to that, building out that section, we tried to talk with other entities to get their entity descriptions. And so not all of the entity descriptions were received in time to include them in this version of the plan that everybody has got. And specifically Washington DNR provided, and WSU, and I think maybe one other entity provided their entity descriptions. And so those need to be added in and replace what's already there. So I don't think we need to go and look at these specific entity descriptions that were drafted by those specific entities, as long as we agree that it's okay to have all these entity descriptions in there, and it's okay that the entities wrote their own descriptions where they were available to write them, and that we should accept how they how they want to self-describe their entity and how they intersect with forest management and forest conservation. There's a similar edit like that for DNR under the forest assets section. They would like for the way that they're written up in the forest assets section to be replaced with some text that they've given us. So like that's all work that is, let me just say, those are my edits because I did that work. I reached out to all of those entities and I asked them, we want this in this plan. If I write an entity description, will you accept what I've written, or do you want to write your own? And it just took some time to have those entities respond to me and say, yes, your description is great, or no, I want another one and I need some more time to write it. So I'm asking for everybody to get on board with this idea that entities should be able to self-describe how they're represented in the plan, and that we should accept that, for DNR and WSU and et cetera.
Great. Ellen, did you want to speak to that?
Well, I guess I don't know what version Randy's talking about, because I've got two in front of me that were sent in the last week. One is 8/4/25 and the other is 8/12/25. I think that was the one with the staff comments on it. What version am I supposed to be looking at?
Not the staff comment one. That's
Okay,
an older version according to Triangle.
Okay, so the 8/4 one, I don't know whose comments those were, but that was maybe one that Triangle sent. Is that the date of the most recent one what I'm supposed to be looking at?
The one that Triangle sent, the title of the document that Triangle sent for this most recent round of edits that they integrated, they titled it 8.25.2025 _ and then it says working draft Whatcom County Forest Resilience Plan. Like, so
8.20 what? 8.
actually, here, can I just share my screen? So it's just, let me just share it so you
Yeah,
can just.
It's in the Google Drive for the review committee, but yeah, it's 8/25/2025 county staff review working draft. And that I think we have a little confusion here in what Triangle said. Triangle said that the staff had commented on an older version, yes, but the 8/25/25 document includes new staff comments on that older version. And we
Okay.
need to deal with those new staff comments, which most saliently is their proposed list of next steps.
Was
And
this,
the rest of them are minor.
okay, was this the one that, Steve, you told me before that you needed to give me permission to get to, the 8/25, 2025?
Yeah, and I'll see if I did. Just a second.
Because I haven't seen that version.
So
Okay.
can you look at on the screen is it's my my drive. Okay. So it's not, I'm just, what's highlighted though, the title of this document that's highlighted here is the
Yeah, I
title
can't
of the
read it. It's
document
too
that was emailed by Triangle a few days ago, whenever it was emailed. So you should have an email from Triangle that has this document attached to it. It says 11 point and then 8.25.20, you know, blah, blah. So we can certainly send that out again, but it was attached to the email that came out from Triangle, and it was any of the edits that any of the edits that individual task force members submitted to Triangle by the deadline that they gave us were supposedly integrated into that version of the document. And that version of the document has the plan review committee edits in it. And it has the edits that I was just speaking about specifically regarding the existing resources section and the collaboration framework section.
Yeah, I don't think I got it because I've been downloading everything they've sent me.
Ellen, I
just-
can forward it to you right now.
That
Yeah,
would
and
be great.
I
Thank you.
just-
Jen.
I just found the email from Kate. I received it on 8/27.
8/27, okay.
And it has the most recent copy and it is 11.8.25.25 working draft.
Oh, so it has a different 11.8.
0.25.25 working draft.
Okay, working draft. Huh. So,
Yeah, I would just like to jump in quickly and say that part of my impediment is trying to figure out, okay, which file am I supposed to be reviewing? And
yeah,
frustrating and saying, I'm going to do something else with my time. Sorry to be honest. And so my request is, if once we decide which is the file we're all going to be using to finish our review, please email me a link for the Google document and the Word file, so I have a choice of which document I use.
Okay, Oliver, you are already on the list, and I'll email you the link again. But
Thank
that is shared with you, and Ellen, you're not, and so I will share it with you right now.
Yeah,
okay,
and
thank you.
statement, I was not trying to get irritated at a person at all, because we're all doing an excellent job doing the best we can. So my point wasn't to get irritated at you, Steve, just saying that my time is so limited. I don't want to have to spend time trying to figure out which file is the one to use. Because I thought anyway, I went down the path of working on the version that has the county staff comments in it, and apparently that's not the right version. It was dated 8/12.
Yeah, that's not the version that Kate sent out asking for the task force to review.
Wow, this is a different one. Huh.
And we definitely had some version control issues throughout this whole
Yeah.
process, but we can't change that now, and we're one meeting away from being done. So let's back up to Brandy's request that people looked at that section, which has been broadened to include more than just Whatcom County. I think that makes fine sense. Most of our recommendations are not just for county operations or for other things. So describing other entities makes sense to me. Does anybody else have comments on that? Looks like Steve's hand is up, but that might be a holdover.
I think that's a holdover. My hand is stuck, shoulder, what do you call it?
I'm
Lock
seeing
up.
thumbs up from Jim for moving on. Everybody seems to agree with Brandy about what Brandy said about those broadening the scope to include other entities and allowing them to self-describe if they've had the time to so do that. Because who would know better how to describe DNR than DNR? Although we could probably have a long argument about that too.
I beg your pardon. I need to interrupt for a second. I have an emergency at my house, so I'll be back as soon as I can. So, and I have other comments to share with you guys, but I have to deal with this emergency and I'll be back, okay?
Good luck. All right, sounds like we generally agreed with Brandy unless someone wants to chime in on that idea again. Does anybody else have any large overarching things or needling things that they want to make sure we discuss so the review committee has a flavor of it?
Ellen, you had two sets of comments. Is there anything we need to know about those? I think they were pretty self-explanatory, but
Yeah, I thought it was something the review committee could handle, the ones that I sent, and I'll work with people.
yeah, I'll just put that on the list then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, nothing else. You guys are too easy. There's three things that we need to confirm. I'm kind of moving on in the agenda. Brandy might show back up with some comments left, but we only have about 20 minutes left. One thing is we need to confirm that September 15th will be our last meeting. There was talk about that at the August meeting, but the August meeting wasn't a meeting where decisions could be made. So we need to reconfirm that people can meet on the 15th and that we'll be ready to vote on the report at that point. So I don't know if people can look at their calendars. I think that September 15th date has been floating around for quite a while. I know it's on my calendar. But I'd like a motion just to confirm that that's our next meeting date. Unless it really conflicts with people. And I think it's scheduled for, again, back to the 11 to 12:30, 11 in the morning to 12:30.
Mhm.
I don't see anybody
That's good for me.
worried about that.
Be there.
Can anybody not be there? Because Triangle was hoping that I could confirm there's going to be a quorum at that meeting since we're supposed to vote. If you can't be there, raise your hand or say something. Sounds like everybody that's here is planning to be there. Yeah, that was the other thing. They wanted us to confirm that a quorum would be there. And I see Brandy's back. I hope you took care of whatever that was, Brandy.
You have a dog attacking my cat.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. A crazy
So
neighbor's dog.
No one else had any big overarching things they wanted to talk about, but we still have a few minutes left. And I
Okay.
heard you say you had a couple more, Brandy.
Yeah, I was asked specifically by Triangle, the edits that I had, some of the edits that I put into what I sent to them, they didn't want to add unless I talked with you guys about them. So I just want to be clear that I added a sentence to the executive summary that speaks to the time limitations that we had to do the work, and that, you know, it's like a caveat kind of statement that just says that, you know, we know that, you know, the plan was prepared with limited community input and it's, you know, incomplete by necessity because we had some time constraints and some other things like that. So there's a sentence that's added to the executive summary that just sort of is explanatory and to address some of the criticism that we've been getting from people in the community about not being, not having a totally beautifully baked plan. And then the other place where I added some new text was on the goals, objectives, and action section. I added an introduction. You'll notice that in the version that was sent out by Triangle, there was an introduction that was added to the existing resources section that was written by Triangle. I think it's great. It's just fine. But I felt like it also we needed one in the goals, objectives, and actions section. And so I proposed some text there that I'm trying to scroll to it so I can read it to you in case you want. And it's just taking a while for my computer to respond. So it's, it basically is really simple. It just says, the following goals and objectives identify a range of priorities to strengthen resilience of Whatcom County forests. They include economic benefits, maintaining ecological health while facing, it's like a summary kind of thing, So they wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with having an introductory paragraph there. And I think that's it. I think I covered. And then sorry. Was that Carl?
I was just going to say, you can share your screen if you want, although just to cut in for a second, Triangle was telling everybody that provided them comments by the Tuesday deadline that they weren't going to build those in. They wanted to bring them to this meeting and us go line by line to approve those. And we don't have time to approve all those. In the ones you just described, I'm fine just for those to go to the review committee.
Okay. And then the only other big thing that I did was I personally feel that the challenges section is very challenging to absorb. And I reformatted it to try to make it a little bit better, a little easier to consume. And I don't know how to share that with you right now because I gave it to Triangle, but they didn't push it out to you guys for you guys to see. But I think that section has, I'm not talking about substantive edits to the content. I'm just talking about how is the content organized so that people can actually take it in and do something with it. And so I reformatted it and suggested to Triangle that this was a better format and make it easier for people to read it and digest it. If
you were turning it into a table or something, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. And it just allows for formatting in a way that how the information is organized visually helps people absorb it. And right now it's kind of a mess and it's hard to take in.
Yeah, I had some comments on that section too, because I noticed there was just a laundry list of information needs in that section. And I never had time to go back and see if we're asking for information needs in that section, those ought to be reflected in action items under goals and objectives too. And I never was be able to cross-reference to know if they all made it down there.
Yeah, and I didn't have time to do anything like that either. So I didn't do that. I just tried to make what's there absorbable.
Yeah, information needs was Dave Peterson's request. That's why it was written in that format. It seemed a little strange, but
yeah, they sound like action items to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They do.
Abe, I think you had a hand up.
Yeah, Brandy, I think that the introduction to the goals, objectives, and action sections is really needed. And I actually would go even a little further and I agree, compared to the first half of the report, the stuff we worked on is very listy, and if that's a word. And I agree that it's hard to absorb, and supportive paragraphs for each goal, I think would even go further to help the readability of the report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I had some comments like that too, that the review committee is going to see.
That's a tall order. I mean,
yeah. At this point, yeah. But I agree. I mean, yeah. If there was, I don't think the review committee can generate a lot of new content. If there's content that's already generated for us to vet and integrate, I think that's doable.
Yeah, some of my comments.
Triangle to
provide
an introductory paragraph for the goal sections.
Yeah, and I think that's fair for the review committee to say we need some introductory language in these spots and see what Triangle comes up with.
Okay.
Any other big overarching things? We have got 15 minutes left. Anything else we want to discuss? We did confirm the 15th while you were out of the room, Brandy, for the
Great.
final meeting.
Yeah,
Mm,
I've got
we-
it on my calendar.
And it looks like a quorum will be there.
I
The
have a
other-
list of 11 tasks for the review committee, and it seems like that's a long enough list. Do you want me to share that with the group?
Yeah, go ahead, share your screen. Let's see what you got. We'll see what else we can find for you to do.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Wait, wait, is that the wrong? How come oh, I see, you are screen sharing. I am?
it
Well,
looks
where,
like
how,
it.
Looks
how
like
come
you.
it does- I don't know, I,
Looks like you're sharing your whole desktop instead of an individual window on your screen.
yeah, I gotta stop share. Okay. Oh, Zoom yes is requesting to bypass the system private window picker and directly access your screen and audio. Okay. And if I move that to another place where I won't lose it, and then share again, and click that desktop, and go share, and do allow, then participants can see your screen, but you can't, right?
We can see your screen. What's showing is it says set of comments to
Yeah,
address.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's it.
If
Can you
you
make
could make
it
it a
any
little
bigger?
bigger, that would be good.
So we can
Oh.
read it?
There you go.
Yeah, that helps.
I think the one thing that's missing, Steve, is to incorporate all the task force comments that people are going to send you, because I know people sent stuff to Triangle that was due on
Well,
Tuesday, yesterday, and they haven't shared those with, I don't have them all. So
okay,
hopefully people will send them. I'll send you all of my comments.
how's that?
Perfect, because that was what
Okay.
Triangle's highest priority was, just to make sure we look at all of the task force comments.
And then I think that the last bullet is request that Triangle write introduction or overview statements for each goal.
I think that's dangerous.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
seriously.
somebody had to say it. Thank you, Ellen.
Well, I think it's a can of worms. I mean,
Maybe the
Um,
review committee can point to certain places that are clear that need some kind of transition introduction language, maybe not for every goal.
Can somebody else on the task force volunteer to write it and get it to the review committee to integrate?
Anybody want to take on a task of reviewing the thing for where little blurbs would make it flow better?
Well, one member of the review committee, when we have the review committee reconvene after this meeting is adjourned, I think we can assign that to one member. Incorporate Brandy's intro to the goals, objectives, and action sections, and consider Abe's request for introductions to each goal. So that's one introduction to the goals, objectives, and actions. There's 4 goals, so that's 4 more paragraphs. One of us can do that. It's
Yeah.
not that big a thing when you think about just writing 5 short paragraphs.
And my assumption is that the review committee will do the best they can and get something to Triangle, and that's kind of where we're at in this process.
Yeah,
I
think
mean, I
Nobody
feel like-
likes it. We all wanted an extension, but it ain't happening.
yeah.
Looks like Oliver's got a hand up.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that we are voting on the plan on the 15th, correct?
yes.
That's correct.
Just,
That-
that's what I thought, but I just wanted to verify that. Thank you.
That was kind of my last comment. Are there any other comments for the review committee or on the plan? I think your list looks right, Steve, to me.
I just copy what people said. So,
You ought to be a politician. That's how you get elected.
well, yeah, copy what people said. We have to figure out which people to copy, right? You've successfully run for office, so I'll defer to you on that, but I'm not intending to start becoming an elected at age 78. Although people at age 78 who should have been long retired to the golf course have two of them in recent years in high office have run at age 78 when maybe they shouldn't have. That's a nonpartisan statement, right?
Anything else on the plan? I have one more thing for us in our last 9 minutes. Jen.
Yeah, I just want to confirm time frame. So if as far as when we're getting all of these edits to the review committee, can we say by this Friday
Before that,
or even earlier? I know that means tomorrow.
yeah, that means tomorrow. I mean, the review committee's gotta hop to it, and it can't hop to it if there's no place to hop to.
Well, and the edits are what people have already compiled, right? Like, it's not like you're editing again, right? Like, you just need to send what you've already sent to Triangle because Triangle hasn't shared that with us.
Right.
Yeah,
So it should be
and
pretty
we
easy.
have
I'll
some
send
of them.
mine this evening.
Yeah, and we have Ellen's, and we have a few of mine that are actually on the document itself. So I don't know who else has them.
So I'll send out an email to the whole task force because not everybody's here, telling them that they need to have whatever comments they sent to Triangle to the review committee, and I'll give them your email address, Steve.
Okay.
No later than Friday. Sooner would be better.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the process? Maybe you can unshare your screen, Steve.
All right.
And the final exercise that I wanted to do is if we are going to vote on this on the 15th, I would just like to see an informal head nod of is there anybody that has a problem and may vote no? Because I've heard enough grumbling in the last week that I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. So I'd like to get a sense of whether I should go back to Triangle and the county and say, I'm not sure you're going to get the votes to approve this report on the 15th. Anybody want to take on that can of worms? I'll tell you, 2 weeks ago, I was a firm no vote. Now that I've worked through this and seen some of the changes, and if we put some stuff in there about more public review and an implementation committee, I probably will vote yes. No one wants to commit. All right.
Oh, no, I mean, unless there's a curveball unless there's some curveball that's coming that I haven't anticipated, then I will vote to move this out of the task force and onto the council. I've some concerns about some of the stuff that was added at the last minute by staff, and I think that needs some serious consideration. If I was told today that was going to be integrated wholesale, I'd have a problem. But
yeah, these certainly aren't firm votes. I was just kind of getting a sense of where everybody is at on this right now.
Well, the way I look at it is that I've been in this, to get it to a yes vote for myself. So I feel like I've made the lift. If other people feel like the lift hasn't been made, then, I don't know what to do about that. But I feel like I've done what I could to get this to the point where I can say yes to it.
All right. It looks like we have Jim posing as Kirsten Smith again.
Yes, I believe in cost benefits analysis, and in that regard, I'm going to vote yes.
All right. I don't see anybody jumping up and down saying I'm a firm no unless we do this, that, and the other. So sounds like we're probably in all right shape. We've got 5 minutes left. We're done 5 minutes early. Anybody else want to fill the last 5 minutes?
Well, I guess I just want to ask, the review committee, since I kind of volunteered to help out here. I know we have a meeting, 7 o'clock Monday, but is that the meeting we'll go through each comment line by line, decide what to put in and out, or?
I think the
Right.
plan, Ellen, is for when we adjourn this meeting, the review committee is going to stay on the same Zoom
Okay.
call for 5 or 10 minutes and try to
Got it.
figure that out.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Ellen, if you can stay with us, that'd be great.
I will. Thank you. All right. No comment.
You know, I really want to say that I appreciate this group coming together and working on this for a year. I really appreciate what the review committee has done. You people did the heavy lift. You know, some of us didn't have the time to help, so I really appreciate and thank that. Even though I said I might be a no vote 2 weeks ago, it has no reflection on this committee at all. It was kind of more reflection. I tried to talk the council out of this early on because I thought the scope was way too broad and the timeline way too tight, and obviously they weren't providing enough support. But here we are. Anything else for the good of the order? I'm going to adjourn the meeting, but if the review committee just wants to stay, oh, Abe has a last minute. He's going to get the last word in tonight.
Yeah, I'm really, I think it's important that Oliver's citations make it into the plan, and I'm a little nervous that it's going to be too hard for the review committee to incorporate those, and so I'm wondering what we can do to make sure those get in there. Like, yeah, Oliver, when do you get back again? Did you
Well,
say that?
yeah, the 11th. But I have some options. And
But Oliver, what format are we gonna get these in? We're just gonna get a list of citations and the places where they go in the plan? I mean, that's done. You know, I just put in a footnote and copy the citation. If we have to add text
no,
of
no,
no.
Yeah,
If we don't have to add text, it's no problem, I don't think, Abe. You know,
Right.
it's not like we got 400 citations to put in, right? It's what, 12?
yeah, 15.
15, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I saw Oliver's citations earlier, and it shouldn't be a big deal for the review committee to put those in. I think the other thing to remember is that we do have to come back on the 15th, and we're going to get another look at what Triangle is calling the final thing. And if his citations aren't in there, we can say we're not voting on this until they get in there. So Triangle guarantee us that they're going to be in the final thing, or we're voting no.
Yeah, but sometimes you need a sentence to hang a citation from, and if the sentence isn't there that has the information that Oliver wants to be included in the plan, then he can't just provide the citation without any referenceable
As I understand it, Oliver, you have a specific placement for each citation, right?
I will, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I think
And-
Oliver's got a lot of hydrology and forest stuff built into the plan, so it ought to be pretty easy to attach those citations.
Yes, and unless something's been deleted, I don't see much in the way of writing. It's just going to be, include this reference here, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Great.
Okay, good. I feel much better. Sorry to raise that at the last minute, but
No, that's fine. Tom?
Yeah, I was just curious, because I think that Oliver, your citations were embedded in the paragraphs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and did those citations or the reports came from? Sorry, did that stuff get bumped down to references, the long list at the end of the report, or are they just totally gone?
No, some of them are in the references. Some of them are cited in the text and in the references, but not some of the important ones.
Okay.
So you're going to get the review committee, a list of what's missing that you want added and where.
Correct.
Perfect.
In one case, they included the wrong reference where there was a more qualifying reference that should have been used instead. And I had made that comment to them previously, but I'm going to make it as easy as possible on me and the rest of the review committee.
I'm sure they appreciate that. Jim?
Oh, this concern about triangle changes things. As far as I'm concerned, whatever comes out of review committee, we want to vote to approve, and triangle can change punctuation and grammar and formatting or whatever, but the triangle shouldn't be messing with the content at this point.
Are we talking about triangle or are we talking about Dave? Because there's a
Triangle.
difference. There's a level of expertise, two different levels of expertise represented there, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if Dave's gonna see it again or not. Carl, do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be good when the review committee's done, when you send whatever you're gonna send to Triangle, you send it to the whole task force too.
Yeah, I'll send it directly to Dave, even though we're not supposed to communicate with him directly. You know, he's an old friend and will he'll just get it. What are they gonna do to me now? Kick me off the task force?
Right, quit paying you.
Yay!
All right, I thought somebody else had a hand up, but it looks like it went down. Anybody else want the last word? Okay. Thank you all for coming here and spending an hour and a half having such fun. I think we're making it. We are shooting for the 15th, and hopefully we'll get approval and we can move on and then bug the council about implementation. If the review committee can stay on for a few minutes, that would be good.
Thanks,
Goodbye to the
everybody.
rest of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.